If you go to this island, you will not come back, and no one will come looking for you. In the Bay of Bengal, hidden among the remote islands of the Andaman archipelago, lies one of the most isolated places on Earth. From above, the island looks almost untouched by time, a small piece of land covered entirely in dense tropical rainforest, surrounded by bright turquoise reefs and the deep blue waters of the Indian Ocean. But what makes this island truly extraordinary is not its jungle or its isolation. It is the people who live there. For thousands of years, a tribe known as the Sentinelese has called this island home, protecting it from the outside world and resisting nearly every attempt at contact. Imagine approaching this island by boat. At first, everything appears calm. The water is quiet, the jungle completely still, and the beach looks empty. From a distance, North Sentinel Island seems no different from many other tropical islands scattered across the Indian Ocean. At first, the figures are difficult to see. They stand partially hidden among the trees, blending into the dark green jungle behind them. But as they move closer to the beach, their presence becomes clear. These are the Sentinelese, one of the last uncontacted tribes on Earth, armed with bows and arrows. They watch the approaching boat carefully, every movement cautious and deliberate. One by one, the warriors step out of the forest and onto the sand. Soon, several of them are standing along the shoreline, forming a line between the jungle and the ocean. Each of them carries a bow, a weapon that has protected their island for generations. To the outside world, this place is a mystery waiting to be explored. But to the Sentinelese, the island is their entire world, and anyone arriving from the sea is not a visitor, but an intruder. As the boat moves closer, the atmosphere shifts completely. The figures on the beach are no longer just watching. One by one, they raise their bows, their movements calm but unmistakably deliberate. There is no panic, no confusion, only a clear message. The Sentinelese have seen outsiders before, and they know exactly how to respond. For them, the island is not a place to be shared. It is something to be defended. This is not a random reaction. The Sentinelese have defended their island for generations, long before the modern world even knew they existed. Every approach, every attempt at contact, has been met the same way. The island is more than just land. It is their entire world, their source of food, shelter, and survival. And protecting it is not a choice. It is a necessity. North Sentinel Island is located deep within the Indian Ocean, far from major shipping routes in modern cities. From a global perspective, it is just a tiny piece of land, almost invisible on most maps. But its isolation is exactly what has allowed the Sentinelese to remain untouched for thousands of years, hidden in plain sight. The island is part of a remote chain known as the Andaman Islands, a group of tropical islands scattered across the Bay of Bengal. While many of these islands are inhabited and connected to the modern world, North Sentinel Island remains completely isolated from all of them. The waters surrounding North Sentinel Island are part of the Bay of Bengal, one of the largest bodies of water in the Indian Ocean. These waters are both a barrier and a shield, protecting the island from the outside world while making it difficult for anyone to reach. From above, North Sentinel Island appears small and insignificant, just a patch of green surrounded by endless blue. But its isolation is absolute. No roads, no buildings, no signs of modern life, only forest, sand, and sea. The island is naturally protected. A wide coral reef surrounds its shores, creating a shallow barrier that makes it difficult for large boats to approach. Beyond the reef, the dense jungle acts as a second layer of defense, hiding everything within it. Reaching the island is extremely difficult. The shallow reef, unpredictable currents, and lack of safe landing points make every approach dangerous. But even if someone manages to get close, the greatest obstacle is not the ocean. It is the people waiting on the shore. The people who live on North Sentinel Island are known as the Sentinelese, one of the last uncontacted tribes on Earth. Almost everything about them remains unknown, from their exact population to the language they speak. What we do know is that they have lived here for thousands of years, completely isolated from the rest of humanity. The Sentinelese live as hunter-gatherers, relying entirely on the resources of their island. They do not farm or raise animals. Instead, they move through the forest and along the coast in search of food. Their survival depends on a deep understanding of their environment, the jungle, the reef, and the sea. Hunting is a crucial part of their survival. Using simple wooden bows and arrows, they track animals through the dense forest with patience and precision. Along the coast, the shallow coral reefs provide another source of food. The Sentinelese wade into the clear waters, using simple tools to catch fish. The Sentinelese also travel along the coastline using narrow wooden canoes. Unlike modern boats, these canoes are designed for shallow waters, allowing them to move safely across the coral reefs surrounding the island. They do not venture far into the open ocean. Instead, they remain close to the shore, navigating the lagoon that protects their island. One of the greatest mysteries of the Sentinelese is their language. No one has ever been able to study or understand it. Without contact, there are no recordings, no translations, and no way to know how they communicate beyond what can be observed from a distance. Scientists believe the Sentinelese may have lived on this island for tens of thousands of years, completely separated from the rest of humanity. Over time, this isolation has shaped every aspect of their lives, creating a culture that has evolved independently from the modern world. In a world defined by technology and rapid change, the Sentinelese represent something entirely different, a way of life that has remained almost unchanged for thousands of years. They are not connected to the modern world. They do not depend on it, and they have no reason to trust it. In the 19th century, the outside world finally became aware of North Sentinel Island. British colonial explorers, mapping the Andaman region, encountered the island and its inhabitants for the first time. But what they discovered was not a welcoming population. It was a tribe that resisted every attempt at contact. The British launched several expeditions to explore the island, hoping to establish contact and learn more about its inhabitants. But each attempt ended the same way, with hostility and resistance from the Sentinelese. One of the most controversial encounters came from British officer Maurice Vidal Portman. Determined to study the Sentinelese, he led an expedition onto the island. What followed would leave a lasting impact, not only on the tribe, but on future attempts at contact. During the expedition, several Sentinelese individuals were taken by the British and brought away from the island. Within days, some of them became ill and died, exposing the devastating consequences of contact. After these events, the Sentinelese became even more hostile toward outsiders. Every future encounter would be shaped by this history. From that point on, the message was clear. The Sentinelese did not want contact, and they would defend their island against anyone who tried to reach it. Decades after the first encounters, researchers attempted a different approach. Instead of landing on the island, they tried to observe it from above. Helicopters were sent over North Sentinel Island, carrying cameras and gifts meant to establish peaceful contact. The idea was simple: leave gifts on the beach, observe from a distance, and slowly build trust. But even this approach would not go as planned. The moment the helicopter returned, everything changed. What seemed like curiosity quickly turned into aggression. The Sentinelese raised their bows and began firing arrows directly at the aircraft. The message was unmistakable. The Sentinelese did not want contact, not even from the sky. In 1981, a cargo ship traveling through the Bay of Bengal was caught in a violent storm. Strong winds and powerful waves pushed the vessel off course, dragging it toward an unknown island. By the time the storm passed, the ship had run aground on a shallow reef, just off the coast of North Sentinel Island. The ship, known as the MV Primrose, was now stranded just offshore. The crew was safe, but completely stuck. And soon they realized they were not alone. At first, the shoreline appeared empty, but then movement began along the edge of the jungle. Figures slowly emerged from the forest, watching the stranded ship from a distance. As time passed, more figures gathered on the beach. Some began moving closer to the water, studying the stranded vessel. The crew realized that if the ship broke apart, they might have to swim to shore. The crew began preparing for the worst. If they had to leave the ship, they would be walking directly into the territory of the Sentinelese. Before the situation could escalate, a rescue team finally arrived. The crew was evacuated safely, leaving the island and its people untouched once again. In 2018, a man made a decision that would bring global attention back to North Sentinel Island. His name was John Allen Chau, and he believed he had a mission. Unlike researchers before him, he was not there to study the tribe. He intended to make contact. He traveled across the ocean, getting as close as possible to the island. But reaching North Sentinel Island is not easy and not allowed. To get there, he relied on local fishermen willing to take the risk. To avoid being detected, he chose to approach the island at night. Alone in a small boat, he moved closer to one of the most dangerous shorelines on Earth. As he reached the shore, he called out to the Sentinelese, hoping to communicate peacefully. But the response was immediate and hostile. Despite the clear warnings, he returned to the island once again. This time, he moved closer than ever before, determined to make contact. But the Sentinelese responded the only way they knew how. Shortly after reaching the shore, John Allen Chau was killed by the tribe, bringing a sudden and tragic end to the encounter. News of his death quickly spread around the world. For many, it was a shocking reminder that North Sentinel Island is not just remote, it is actively defended. The incident sparked a global debate. Some questioned the risks of contact, while others argued that isolated tribes like the Sentinelese must be left alone, protected from the outside world. In response to repeated incidents, the government of India officially declared North Sentinel Island a protected zone. The goal was simple: to prevent further contact and protect the Sentinelese from the outside world. Today, it is illegal to travel within several kilometers of the island. Even fishermen are required to stay far away. Anyone who enters the restricted zone risks legal consequences and something far more dangerous. Authorities monitor the area to ensure that no one attempts to approach the island, keeping both outsiders and the tribe safe. Contact with isolated tribes is not only dangerous for outsiders, it is even more dangerous for the tribe itself. Even common illnesses can have devastating effects on people who have never been exposed to them. For this reason, many experts believe the Sentinelese should be left completely alone, free to live as they always have. North Sentinel Island remains one of the few places on Earth where modern civilization has no presence and no control. One of the biggest questions surrounding the Sentinelese is how many of them actually live on the island. Estimates vary, but from a distance, scientists believe their population may be only a few dozen, or at most a few hundred individuals. Their language is another mystery. No outsider has ever been able to record or understand it. It is completely isolated, possibly unrelated to any known language on Earth. Every aspect of their life is shaped by the island itself. The jungle provides food, the reef offers protection, and the ocean defines their boundaries. Without modern tools or technology, their survival depends entirely on knowledge passed down through generations. How the Sentinelese have survived for so long in isolation is one of the greatest questions of all. Their knowledge of the island, passed from generation to generation, may be the key to their survival. The island itself is their greatest protection, a natural barrier that has kept them hidden from the world for centuries. Today, the Sentinelese are considered one of the last truly uncontacted tribes on Earth. And despite everything we have learned, the truth is simple: most of their story remains unknown. In a world where almost every place has been explored, mapped, and connected, North Sentinel Island remains untouched. It exists as a reminder that not every part of the Earth belongs to modern civilization. For centuries, humans have been driven to explore the unknown, to reach places that no one has seen before. But North Sentinel Island raises a different question. Just because we can go somewhere, does that mean we should? The Sentinelese have already made their decision. For them, the answer is clear. The outside world is not welcome. We may never know their language, their stories, or their way of thinking. And perhaps that is exactly how it should be. North Sentinel Island remains one of the last truly untouched places on Earth, a place where the modern world has no control and no place. And maybe the most important question is not who they are, but whether we should ever try to find out.